I want to show you a few coal terminals. We'll run through this kind of fast. But this is their current facility up at Calvert City. Now, I'm really not going to show you about the necessarily that there is coal on the ground, but I do want to say at our first meeting at the Planning Commission, Bill Reck was asked if he could guarantee there would not be coal storage, and he said no at that time. So the story has evidently changed. I'd also like to talk a little bit about their Danville facility, which is a nice, clean facility. That facility only has 4 employees and only handles 1 train a week. And it was put in, and it was supported by the city because the city was losing their power plant. Their power plant was not rail served and had only truck coal coming in Illinois Basin, and environmental restrictions were being placed on it, which forced it to get coal out of the Powder River Basin in Wyoming. Thus, the city was in a position they needed that coal terminal. And these guys performed a great service. And it is working well today for them. But these are what coal terminals look like. If you would, these are the local coal terminals in the local area. But as we flip through these, this is the Calvert facility. Keep going, Sean. I'll just click, because this thing is not going to work evidently. That's Calvert City. But stop there for a minute, because we're going to go on to Cora and on to the Cook facility. You will notice these are in rural residential areas. Now, granted, there again, this is coal being dumped on the ground. There's dust. Well, we can argue whether they are or they aren't. But there again, all these facilities that you're going to see are in very, very rural or heavy industrial areas. This is at a coal transfer facility. This is not where it's being put on the ground. This is just where it's being transferred at a facility on a belt, which is covered, but it still does emit dust. Keep going, if you will, Sean. These terminals that I want to show you, particularly the first 2, do half the tonnage that they're proposing. Their current facility, the one I showed you first, did 5.7 million last year, I think. This one's doing about 6.5. But these facilities are much smaller than the 10 million they're talking about. And they require ground storage. Now, granted, some of that's because they're blending. And in their first meeting, they said they wouldn't blend. And I agree, I don't think they will blend. Blending is going away. Keep going through. There's the Cora facility up in southern Illinois. You can see there's no houses around that. They put these in the middle of nowhere for a reason. They're not light industrial. You know, even under light industrial, if you really read the regs, we can't prevent people from ground storage. Our regulations won't prevent it. We have no remedy if somebody does have ground storage under light industrial or heavy industrial. And you can promise anything. And now, granted, they'd have to go to EPA for emissions or for storage, but our zoning will not prevent ground storage even under light industrial. We've researched it, our council's researched it, you can't do it. And you talk about regulators, how they can stop it. LWD, for 19 years, operated out of compliance. The only thing to close LWD was they went bankrupt. So our regulators in the state tried forever to close that place, and they were in the middle of Calvert with the rest of the chemical places. You would keep going, Sean. This is just to show you what all the coal terminals in the area look like, and they are good. These same guys in 1992 did attempt to put a facility in an area very close on the other side of the railroad tracks, the CN, actually on CN property. It was opposed by GPDC and the chamber at the time, and thus Governor Brereton Jones wrote a letter to the Corps voicing his opposition, and they withdrew their permit. In early 2006, I think they approached GPDC again about the Riverport West area, and knowing that we really didn't want a coal terminal there, but we wanted to get a good industry in there, they were, the mayor and I think the Denton County judge at least voiced their opposition. To tell you that, you know, why we're going to lose jobs, and hopefully I can explain that. In 1980, the railroads were deregulated. We're like any other business. Our rates aren't set by the government, or they're not set on cost or mileage, or set on what the market will bear. You know, the rates are basically set by the Class 1 railroads, and they'll make them whatever they want. This will show you a little bit, I hope, where the new terminal is proposed, which is right there. This is the P&I Railroad, which are locating on. Not to be confused with the P&L. They're locating on the P&I, which we can't operate on. But here's the current facilities, GRT, or CCT and GRT. And if you listen to what Kevin was saying about capacity, granted, they're looking at some of the business in Illinois today, and yes, there's a big mine going up in Illinois. That mine will produce a lot of tons. But I've had several meetings with those same miners. The market they're targeting is primarily in the southeast, and it's rail direct. There will be, they propose, some water, and that's what their initial business will be on the water. So I think that their outlets will be other than what we have. I contend and believe that their true market will be that of the other terminals, this one up here. Now, Bill told us that this terminal here can't be moved. Well, the fact is it was moved in. It was used when it was put in. It was built with a used dumper, used rail, every bit of it can be moved. It needs to be. Like I say, Four Rivers says it won't blend. And I believe that because, like I said, blending is becoming less and less important as utilities are finding that they can use scrubbers, or being forced to put scrubbers in to meet emissions. Blending was used to blend Illinois-based or high sulfur coals with the western coals to meet EPA standards. But currently, there's over 30 scrubbers under construction in the southeast. Now, most of those are at facilities that are not water served. And that's what some of these new markets are really shooting at. They're shooting at rail direct markets that are going to scrub coal that can burn the Southern Illinois type coal. The current facilities, including CCT, because they blend and do ground storage, doesn't mean they're inefficient to water direct. They can go direct also if they choose to. It's just there again, it's hard to coordinate barges, different customers, different locations. TVA alone probably uses those facilities for 10 different plants. So there's different barge lines, different plants, different coals, different blends. It's just a coordination nightmare. If a new terminal goes in, it will give the BN and the CN a direct access to their own terminal. They will literally cut the P&L out. They will, at least initially, the rates will be cheaper to the new terminal, and they will just make an extra charge to come on to Paducah. Let's say it's only $1 extra to come on to Paducah, but then we'll have to charge something to take it out there. Economics from the big railroads will force the other two terminals, if not to be closed, to drastically reduce their business. Because there's no way that any shipper or receiver is going to pay an extra $1 or $2 to come on beyond this facility to the existing facilities. We call that in a way predatory pricing, but it's not uncommon in our business. The fact the CN, BN, and UP will favor this facility directly. Although the UP has told me that they will not quote a rate and do not quote any rates in coal to facilities that do not go to ground. They don't want their coal cars held up or waiting on barges or waiting to go directly into power plants. They do not quote any rates to facilities that don't have ground storage. Now, that's not saying that the CN isn't, because I'm sure the CN wants this locally to them initially, and then things may change. I want to tell you. I think what we're proposing here, is not your typical Walmart model. Walmart comes in, and granted, they do put competitors out of business. And they do, cause small people to lose their jobs. But they add a lot. They bring lower prices, newer developments to the community. They do add something. We don't see this adding anything. We see 10 to maybe 20 jobs at the coal terminal, and yet costing us much more. The investment in the coal terminal, probably 10 to 15 million. And yes, you throw the ethanol plant in, it sounds great. But it's just not, what I think you see on the surface. We think we've been a good citizen, and we're just definitely opposed to it. And as I said before, I wouldn't be standing up here if I thought we weren't going to lose business. The current facilities can handle all this new business proposed. In fact, they're handling some of this Williams Energy business out of Illinois they're talking about today. So day one, this opens, we lose that business, which will go right there. But we're currently handling that today. And I think we can continue to handle it and do some things to compete for that additional business without an unneeded coal facility. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.